Hey everyone, Craig Williams here, back with another video. In this video I'm going to show you some tips on mixing multiple synth lines together to get that sort of big room or progressive house sort of sound. These use like a lot of plucks and pads and all those sorts of types of sounds to try and make one sort of cohesive sound instead of just a bunch of white noise virtually, because you're just trying to push everything a little bit too hard. So this is a track that I've done. Unfortunately couldn't find a label for it, so I guess it's just going to sit on the hard drive for a while. But here is a sample of it.
With you.
As you can hear, there's the bass and the plucks and the pads and stuff in that. The biggest tip that I found for this was actually before the mixing stage. It was making the synths, and I had to listen to a bunch of tracks, a bunch of different tracks by people out there, and did a bit of reading and stuff like that, and I found that the best way to sort of make one big sound is to have synths with slightly different tonal qualities. If you're just having the same pad or the same pad but just like putting it up an octave or down an octave or anything, it just tends to get a bit washy and you lose the definition in the sound. So as you can see here, I've got bass layer and all that. I've named them all so I know what's going on, but they're all slightly different. So even for the bass, we've got here. Nice and punchy sort of bass. I didn't want anything with too long a sustaining notes, because I found that it started to eat up some of the other synths. So if I just had nice and punchy, it goes along with the kick and just keeps it the groove, like keeps the track pushing along at a nice rate. And then just for the bass layer, it's just a simple synth. Actually, that one there is just the same notes but played, it's a different synth, but it's just played a little bit higher. So when you're listening to it on headphones and stuff like that, you can actually hear everything. And the bass layer is playing along with the pattern down here. And then when you start to get into the actual synths, we've got a low pluck. And for these to help them punch through the mix a little bit more, I find it's good to use camel fat. But as you can see, most of the synths here, I'll just open up in the mixer. Where are you? You can see that I've low cut them all to give room, lots of room for the kick and the bass. Some of them I have put the stereo tool on to help spread them out, so then obviously when you've got a lot of synths sort of sitting in the middle of the stereo range, you've got the ones pushed out on the side to help create the big stereo width. We'll just go through and I'll layer them up so you can hear what's going on. So we've got that low pluck, and then another one with a completely different tonal quality. Most of these are just silent, and they're just made the patches up, so you can hear there, you can definitely hear the two different sounds. This is a string which is from the Korg Legacy, which I don't have on this one, but you get the idea. It's just another synth string sort of sound. This is like an arpeggiated sort of Again, using the camel fat to dirty up the sound a little bit. So if I take these off, you can hear on this one what's going on. Adds a little bit of bite, adds a little bit of dirtiness, and then that sort of gives that sort of compression sort of sound and dirties it up a little bit more again. This one's the high pluck. So if I layer these sounds up now, you should be able to hear each of them that's going on. Then I got the trance lead, which is like the sort of the main sound that punches through everything. After that, I've got the arpeggiated sound. Got a pluck pad sound, which I've got, so it's a pluck when you have it down here, and then as you open up the filter, it reacts with this release here, and then opens up to, you got more of the pad sound, but you still got the pluck at the start. And I think I even no automation on that one. I had the Nexus piano, but I don't have it on this computer, which is just a high, bright sounding piano. And then for the low sounding piano, I've got just the one straight out of Logic. And then for that, I've just taken off the highs because I had the highs from the Nexus in the high region. I wanted these to sort of be the weight to the piano sound. So if I put all them together, with the bass, and might as well put it with the kick. So I'll open up the mixer again and show you guys some of the main tips. I mean, I'm no expert at this, I've just sort of done what I thought was right for this sound. So there's guys out there that looking at this and saying that's completely wrong. Well, it kind of worked for this track, so there you go. Majority of the stuff I've low cut. Even the basses, I've low cut them just to tighten the sound up a little bit. I've tried not too much. I've done things like here, it's 5 dB, that's getting a little bit higher there, but I try not to continually add to the EQ. I try and take away to give room. So if you keep adding at 3.5K with every sound, at 3.5K, and the overall mix is just going to be huge. So I found that cutting is obviously, you're going to make it sound better. If you add it, you're going to make it sound different. So yeah, that's some stuff that I've done there. And then obviously to the whole sound together, because I've got all these going to the bus here. In the bus, I've just low cut it again, and then just put another little boost just right at the top, heading towards 10K. I've got a compressor, which is just helping compress the sound a little bit more and make it sound whole, as opposed to 20 different sounds. It's sort of making it sound as one sound together. And then just the sausage fattener, just a tiny little bit, like 3% it was, just to help, again, glue it together and just help dirty up the sound a little bit more. as you can see, I've got everything fairly low. There's so many sounds in this track that I've got all the levels down nice and low, and then I'm just mixing them, and then if I head to the master, even with all the sounds, I've still got lots of headroom there. It's just to help, obviously when it comes time for the mastering and stuff like that, if you're already pushing into 0 and you've got a limiter on there, it's just not going to be very, you're not really giving the mastering engineer or whatnot enough to work with. He's sort of just fighting against it from the get-go. So the main tips that I found out of this was choosing sounds with different tonal quality, different feel. So you're not just going to use lots of sounds that are all in the super high frequency range. Try and find stuff that is across the board, and then you can sort of glue the sounds together, as opposed to just putting like 50 random sounds in there. It can work, but you might be just chasing your tail for a while. Also, the one thing that I found is to sort of have patterns for this big room that are just constant. Like, we'll go to this one. You can hear there that the bass is constantly driving the sound along with the kick. That sort of helps push the track along, and then you've got the other synth elements sort of as the higher elements to help sort of add the musical elements to the track, if you will. Like if you go down to this section, so you can hear there that I've got all the synths and the bass and everything playing on the same pattern. I think that just helps add, it just sort of solidifies what you're trying to do with the track. Again, I'm using the same sounds, just with a different pattern. So if I take this off, I've gone from just the one synth to these synths into the breakdown, which was this section again, and then I add more synths again, and then for the final bit, into the breakdown there. So the big tips, again, I'm saying it again because it's just repeating myself, but use synths with different sounds, like different tonal quality, different feel, and that will make your mixing of the track a lot easier, because you're not having 10 sounds that sound the same. They're all slightly different. And try and choose rhythmic patterns for your melodies and whatnot that are just solid and they'll stick in people's minds. I find that if you have a main melody that's too busy, that it can just it just won't sort of work. Well, that's how it's been for my track. So hopefully that's sort of given you some insight into it. I know it's trying to sort of cover a lot in a little bit of time, but hopefully it's helped some people out there. Okay, until next time, see you later.